Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we'll be going over how to understand your very first program, Hello World. This is the program that you will most likely try out in your first computer science class or even when you're working on learning a new language. It's a really fun and short program, and it's pretty much used by everyone. It's kind of like the first thing you do when you're being introduced to computer science or being introduced to a new language. So I'm really excited because this is such a fun program, and this is really what gets you hooked on um, to computer science and programming. So why Hello World? So this Hello World program actually came out in 1972 by a research scientist at Bell Labs, and it's really interesting because I actually interned at Bell Labs this summer, so I thought that was really neat. And he really used this Hello World program to share a new programming language that he created. Right now, it's widely used by everyone to introduce a new language or introduce programming as a first step for anyone. So it's a really fun and educational kind of tip and trick that's just, ever since then, it's just caught on because it's so fun. So here I have Hello World in two languages, one in Java on the left hand side and one in Python 3 on the right hand side. So you might be wondering why there's such a big difference in the two languages, right? So Python is developed so it's a very straightforward, simple language. It has very straightforward syntax, and it's really a scripting language, so programmers are really relying on these boilerplate template codes to just get started. You don't really have to worry about picking where you're going to print to the console. It's just very much built in and ready for you to script and code in. Java, on the other hand, is something called an object-oriented language. You'll see this abbreviated as OOP. So it's really developed to build large applications that are going to run across different platforms, and it's really focused for these object-oriented languages. And we'll talk more about what objects are in a different video, but for now all you need to know is they're very different types of languages and they have different purposes. Python, you can also do object-oriented coding in it, but it's really not used for that. Like you wouldn't really code an industry application in Python and give it to an end user to use unless it was like a research end user or a computer scientist end user. Typically, if you're developing software for non-computer scientists people to use, it's going to be in Java or in C++ or in C. So those are the languages that typically have different syntax. So as you'll see in the next slide when I break down Java, what all of the different parts mean. And I'm going to be focusing on Java in these videos, or at least I'm going to try to focus on Java in these videos because it was my first language in school. And I find that typically schools are going to teach you a harder language first, because once you know Java or C++, you can easily pick up Python, R, or any other language, really. So I'll just try to stick with the educational curriculum and go from there. So on this slide, you'll see the Hello World program written in Java. In Java, every line of code needs to be run inside of a class. So the first line of the code declares a class called main. The first line has 3 words in it: public class main. Main is the name of the class. Class is a keyword in Java, and public is the modifier telling the computer that other classes can access this class. Then you go to the next line of the code, which is public static void main. So this is the main function. This is where the computer knows where to start running your code and in what order to run your code. You'll notice the keyword public here as well. We'll get to this later as well. Then you'll notice the keyword static. This is a Java specific keyword. Then you'll see void. Void is what the function is going to return. So in this case, the function is not going to return anything, so we write void. Main is the name of the function, and then string args are the parameters you're passing to the function. Next, you'll see system.out.println hello world. So println is a function that tells the computer to print hello world and a new line character. So this is really the piece of code that's actually going to be printing hello world to your console. So what a console could be the terminal or the command line that you're running your Java code in, or if you're working in an IDE, so integrated development environment, it will be the console that's attached to your IDE. So that's where you'll be finding the hello world. Next, you'll notice these curly braces. So everything in Java, you scope using these curly braces. So all of the functions that belong to one class are going to be in the outer curly braces. So typically functions and classes have these curly braces along with if statements, and we'll get to the syntax of Java as we learn more. And then every statement, so every line of code in Java has to be followed by a semicolon. This tells the computer that this is one command and this is where it stops. So overall, as you'll see, the difference between Python and Java is pretty intensive in terms of the amount of code you have to write just to print hello world. But again, that's just because of the nature of the language. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned a lot. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!